beat makers. Do you hold beats for rappers, or do you sell the beat to whoever comes first with the money? This legendary producer actually did that to the Notorious BIG and ended up fearing for his life as a result. Biggie felt betrayed by him because he sold the beats that he wanted to another legendary rapper. Now, the producer I'm talking about is a legend himself. His name is Rashad Smith. I'm talking about Tribe Called Quest, Lil' Kim, Notorious Big, LL. Produce a lot of hits that you probably know of if you're a hip hop fan. But this story is crazy. Not just the Diddy part, not just the part where he's creating these classic hit songs for legendary rappers. I'm talking about the part where he talks about how much these labels used to pay for beats. They were paying $30,000 deposits per beat. Deposits. Now, mind you, I didn't get into the music industry until 2008 when I got my first major record placement. And at that point, I would say the average advance for a beat from a major label is around, $10,000. So a lot lower than what it used to be. There are a lot of reasons for this, though. I want to put things into perspective. But let's say if I produce a hit song today, and I use a sample in the beat, and I get $50,000 upfront as an advance, which is high. But let's say by some miracle, Atlantic Records or Def Jam or Interscope pays me $50,000 for this beat with a sample in it. I lose all my underlying composition equity because the sample owners take it all. This is incredibly common when you sample. That means I don't get paid mechanical royalties. I don't get paid performance royalties. I don't get paid micro sync royalties. I don't get paid my sync fees. And the label owns the master, so I'm not getting royalties on that side until they recoup my $50,000 advance at whatever 3% rate. But let's say I produce the same hit song, I only get a $5,000 advance, but I use a splice loop, something royalty free, or I make the sample myself. Well, now I own my full underlying composition equity, so I still get my writer's share, 25%, my 25% publisher's share, to make a full 50%. If it's a hit, even in today's industry, when all said and done, even without MTV and BET, and they used to pay crazy performance royalties, even without radio, even with streaming rates being what they are, I'm still gonna make $150,000 to $250,000 in royalties off this. So it's not a cut and dry conversation. There's a lot of nuance here. I don't want to make it seem like it's just a simple matter of beats used to cost more, now they cost less. Shout out to Rashad Smith for telling this story. You're going to want to hear this.
Big's working on his second album. Big came to me with all these ideas. I want the Albie Shaw sample, the Night and Day, My Jamaican Guy. I started working on the records. Called him on the phone. I played some of it on the phone. That's incredible. Come and bring me the cassette. Things started getting a little, rough for me. I started spending too much money. At that time, I thought Puff could have just gave me at least a little deposit on it, but it just never happened.
What would have been the down payment for holding these two tracks?
Like 15 grand.
For both?
No,
each.
That was 15 grand a piece. I had a relationship with Chris Lighty. He's working on LL's new album. Come up to the office. Couple of tapes on me, cassette tapes on me. Ding, ding. The big beat came on. I stopped it. He's like, yo, whoa, what is that? I was like, oh, I said, I can't possess that's for Big. He was like, I need that. How much is Puff gonna pay you? Disclose the information to him. He said, I'll double that for each beat. One time I was in my Range Rover, I was on Fulton Street, and him and D-Rock was in their whip and seeing me and my wife on the side. And Big and them was looking at me like, man, I got to drop on you right now if I want to.
Sheesh.
I was shook. It's really sad that before his passing, man, that we never gotten a chance to fix that issue, man. He felt betrayed, and I can understand from his standpoint.
He didn't know all the circumstances.
I really needed to help, and I could not hold off any longer.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Wild.
There's a lot in that clip. A lot. I don't know what are your initial reactions? I'm trying to collect my thoughts.
I mean, I want to go back and watch this whole podcast. That guy is a good storyteller. First of all, shout out to a world-renowned producer. Man, it's so tough because in this day and age, they would be like, I'll go with whoever's going to give you the money first. But I think the thing to me, especially in the 90s, and why so many rap groups and just that the era of super producers and people staying on for so long is because of integrity and loyalty and being like, I made this for this person with the intention for this person. We had a conversation and that's enough to hold weight, and I get why bro said he was spending too much money. He was in a tight situation and they doubled because he just talked about the deposit. They were saying 15,000 for the deposit. If that's the deposit, at very least, that means that he's making 30K per beat. So that's $60,000 he was waiting on. So if they said they doubled it, that's $120,000 in the early 90s, which is like $500,000 right now. So like, I can't fault him again because I feel like right now people would be like, man, go get your money, whatever. But at the same time, I feel like that's a tough situation. And he seemed to have made it out all right. But like burning a bridge with Biggie, not knowing what would happen to him, his untimely demise. But think about like the lifelong residual effect of that. Or even now, to be honest, because Biggie has passed away, like if he would have got more tracks with him, that could be worth millions upon millions of dollars when it comes to streaming right now. But I mean, he does have one of Biggie's biggest tracks. But I don't know. I just think that's a sticky situation. It's tough. He said that Biggie never rocked with him again. And I'm wondering if LL was loyal to him or if LL ever doubled back and got more tracks from him. But even listening to that clip, I was like, oh, I never thought about it. This definitely sounds like a Biggie track, so
It does,
I don't know.
doesn't
I
it?
think it's super.
Both of them.
Yeah. I was like, yo, I could totally hear this being a Biggie track. So yeah, that's my initial thoughts. I think even now in my life, I'm not saying that because of this day and age, it shaped me as much. In my life, I really do resonate with and try to live by integrity and loyalty. And so it's like, if I said I was going to do something for somebody, but at the end of the day, the day's going to end, as they say, I'm about my money too. Like if you're going to keep dragging me along and messing with me, but they had an established relationship. So I don't know. That's a tough situation. But
So much has changed, but in the production world, so much has changed. Just reading or watching this clip, I'm like, man, maybe we really did fuck up the game because like you said, right. And I wasn't alive during this, or I was alive. What am I saying? I wasn't active. I wasn't making beats when this all happened. I was a little ass kid. I was listening. I was buying the tapes, but I didn't even know how beats were made at that point in my life. Like you said, breaking it down, if they're getting at least, so those two beats, he was talking about like one, okay, oh man, there's just so much to unpack. Cause one, Biggie came with the sample ideas. He said, I want the Grace Jones sample. So really Biggie kind of co-produced those tracks. So of course,
that part I thought was super cool too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would love to have more artists come with ideas like that, especially bigger artists. Cause that gives you a chance to create their vision. And I don't know if that makes someone more or less of a producer, depending on who you ask. But, that is an extra piece of ownership that Big could have laid claim to. But then and I wish he hadn't glossed over that, but did you see how, as an aside, he goes, and I kind of messed my money up, or what did he say? I was spending too much, or something where he said he was being financially reckless. Okay, what does that mean? What does that mean?
If you're getting 60K a beat, again, like conservatively, imagine getting like 200,000 per beat right now. And I feel like that's conservative. And that's another thing that I feel like was so cool, that it's like, this is a very specific time, because right now somebody would be like, why don't you just go make another beat real quick for Biggie? It's not like that back then. Homie was playing it over the phone on a cassette tape, probably coming off of, the speaker. So it's like that process was way more complicated, way more expensive, way more time consuming. Chopping a sample is not like cut, paste, click, or like, and that's no disrespect to what producers are doing right now.
No, it was harder back
that was
then.
a whole other thing. Yeah, like a whole other thing, speeding it up, slowing it down, matching the tempo to get it right on beat, building the drums. So it's not like he could have just been like, I sold it to LL Cool J, and in 2 or 3 days, had another one, but I got you on this other one, Biggie. Don't worry about it. That's not the thing. So I think that was really cool. But I don't know. I wonder how. Yeah, I could imagine you being extremely reckless because you're a god right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, folks are hitting you, the biggest rappers are hitting you for beats, telling you what they want, and you're a young man with hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars to spend on whatever you want. I think about that even now. Like, if I had money in my 20s, I was already just like living my life. Broke, frolicking all over the world. I'm talking about flying to Germany and I had $35 in my account type. Like, I'm going to figure it out. It's whatever. I'm going to meet some people, and every time did. If I had money.
So back then, yeah, they were talking about getting a lot of money on the front end, but the majority of it was sample based. So you probably weren't getting anything on the back end in terms of, back then radio and TV mattered, and that's when they were paying a lot in performance royalties. But if you don't own the underlying composition because the owners of the sample took it all, then you weren't getting that. And so the labels would often.
You think they weren't getting anything?
I think they could have been getting something. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's anyone's guess because nowadays you sample 2 seconds of flute from one track, they want 100%. And it's not like, right. Who knows? Cause, for the One More Chance sample, it was DeBarge. That's a whole band, with the Grace. Who knows how Grace Jones felt about the record? I don't know. Grace Jones is an enigmatic figure, to say the least,
a true icon.
But there could be podcasts. I've heard 1 or 2 stories about her, and I'm like, there must be more because she did some wild shit back then. And so there must be. So maybe she was really cool about it, but we'll never know. And the outcome was that LL's album went platinum, 2 times platinum, Mr. Smith. The songs that Rashad produced obviously were hits, right? Both of them were platinum. So it must have felt great to have doing it and lounging with LL at the time. That was the height of LL's career too. And Rashad was the king of sample-based hit sounding records. And then you realize, Life After Death went beyond Diamond. So how could you have known? But I guess it's an additional lesson to producers to please not mess your money up, because then you don't put yourself in that position. It also makes me feel good about Chris Lighty because he was giving out advances like that. Number one, I was very fortunate to meet Chris Lighty when I went out to New York and became Violator on the DJ end. So shout out Violator All Stars. But I mean, to walk in there and double the deposit like that, that's crazy. So he was getting 30. And it's crazy to me that they even gave deposits back then. Because nowadays, no one gives, the majors don't give deposits, and working with.
That's probably to prevent what happened to Biggie. Like, I can't let this beat go, so we got to put a deposit down,
Well, yeah, nowadays the labels don't care. They're like, you can't get that beat, we'll just have someone else do. So, and yeah, it is. Or we'll just drop it and say, fuck the other. I mean, labels do.
We'll pay somebody way less to recreate it. I've been a part of some situations like that, and I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah, they do that too. I'm just thinking in terms of working with unsigned artists directly, where I have this happen a lot, actually. Where someone wants an exclusive beat, I have to get a deposit because otherwise, well, one, when I was younger, I would make beats for people and they'd be like, oh, you thought I was going to pay you? Yeah, because you said, yeah, well, I didn't mean now. Or like a lot of people will ask for a custom beat. I'm like, cool, I need this amount to show you that I have a draft. And they're like, yeah, I like that. There's this one artist paid like 20% down, said he liked the track. I think that was like 4 years ago. Periodically, he'll hit me up checking in on me. I'm like, I don't want to talk to you. I've been sitting on this track. Oh, well, I just, back then, I'm like, I have every message set. Another key for producers: keep the text. If I got on the phone with this guy, he could have gaslit me into thinking it was any kind of situation that we had. No, he was like, oh, I didn't really like the beat. Yes, the fuck you did. I have a screenshot right here of the email saying, yeah, this is perfect. I'm going to send you the remaining however many dollars next month. And that was 3 years ago. So you can't play me because I keep record of everything. So it's just a different time now. I understand I don't know. It's hard. It's so crazy to look at because we're all playing the same game nowadays. We're making the same kind of music in the same industry, but it's not the same industry and it's not the same process. And so looking at someone like Rashad Smith and hearing his story, it's so easy for me to be like, yeah, you could have just made a new beat. No, wait, no, you couldn't have. Or couldn't you have just, no, it didn't work like that back then. What a time. Oh my God. We are privileged, but we're also kind of at a disadvantage because there are so many producers now.
I think the hard thing with this too is that, especially knowing that it was a Biggie concept, and it's like if he had that tape and he's sitting there rapping to it, he probably, in his head hears it because he just had to hear it and he's like working through it. And then he's like, okay, I need the beat. And it's like, oh, yo, I sold it. It's kind of like, yo, it's one thing that if you just sold a beat that you made from scratch, but if he gave you a framework for it, and I'm not saying because he just told him the sample he wanted used, but like to give away a song like that, I don't know, that's tough. But you could see he was just like, I messed up. Like it seems like he's owning it, but that's a tough situation. I think for him, it worked out to a degree because again, he ended up on a multi-platinum selling album. He probably was fine after that. But I think about it now too. I wonder how many of those guys who were producing back in the day, making that crazy money are kicking themselves right now. Cause I think even like when Chris Lighty passed, they dropped a podcast about his life. I mean, it was some years after, but it was like his family, other people who had produced with him, and they were just talking about the type of money that would exchange hands on any given night, duffel bags full of cash, just like crazy, again, wild, wild west stories. I wonder, like, I think even about Scott Storch, and like he talked about like snorting like $100,000 worth of cocaine in a week, which I can't imagine how your brain is still here, how your body is still functioning. But to think about that and then to go completely broke and then be bankrupt, and shout out to him coming back and being fine now. But it's like, I wonder what the thought process is when you know that you let so much money go and you have nothing to show for it but like a great story about like strippers or drugs or whatever,
Dating Lil' Kim. I on the topic of cocaine, I will never use cocaine, but